Hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of Rise with Reis. And today we're going to talk about healing old wounds. And when it comes to healing old wounds, a lot of people do not want to face their fears. They do not want to feel what feels very uncomfortable. But until we basically come forth and we bring those shadow aspects of ourselves to light, we can't heal it. And if we're not healing it, we're not becoming whole and complete, which is the whole journey that we are on, especially on this twin flame journey. So today we're going to talk to Reis about different options, different ways that you can heal your old wounds. So welcome back, Reis.
Oh, thank you so much, Dr. Harmony. Thank you so much. And I've got to say, your energy is glowing after your retreat. How beautiful. So I can feel it. I can feel it. I've been following it online. It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful to watch.
Well, and
And I
just
can
to
really
be
feel the
super
energy.
authentic, just so everybody knows, as I'm always authentic, since way even before the move, I've been on the go nonstop, and I'm not a napper. But I finally just crashed, and I told Jeremiah, like, I melted, like I can't move, I don't want to get up, and then I kept snoozing an alarm, and he's like, "Don't you have a show like at 5 o'clock here in the Pacific time?" And I know
Wow.
here I am, but that could be a part of it. I did take a nap.
You've brought a lovely, beautiful, relaxed energy with you today. I really feel that we really needed to get clear about wounds and trauma. I feel there's so much out there right now that really amplifies it, and it can be a little bit scary to look at when we're seeing all this trauma and core wounds and all this healing. It can seem so overwhelming, and some of you might actually say, do you know what, I don't feel I've got any core wounds, or I haven't got any trauma to heal. But I just want to ask you a few questions about how you are in yourself today and how your emotions are at play. Are you one of these people that is on edge a lot, that goes into fearful situations quite a lot? Are you quite snappy? Do you tend to get overwhelmed and frustrated? Have you got fear of abandonment, fear of saying or doing something wrong? Do your emotions quickly spiral out of control and you lose control of them? Or are you the complete opposite, where you completely shut down, where you feel that you're not seen, you feel you're not heard, you feel that you can't speak up, you can't say no, or you just go into a state of feeling really disconnected? And I feel it's really, really important to talk about these surface level emotions around our core wounds. And when we talk about, say, like traumas, that can be such an overwhelming word to take on board and actually say, well, actually, I probably didn't have any major traumas. Well, actually, everybody has core wounds. Everybody has trauma. And it's really, really important to recognize that. Now, some of us might only be in that place where we're starting to really wake up to that awareness of going, actually, that is me. I feel like I am running emotionally on edge. I suffer with addictions. I suffer with all these traits that are taking me out of a place of feeling peace right now. And as Dr. Harmony said, a place of completion. And this is really taking this on board and actually challenging this. Do we really need to know at this point where those traumas come from, where they are exact to pinpoint? No, I feel the awareness right now is actually shifting into a place of saying that actually, yeah, I do go into this place of feeling anger, or I have these underlying feelings of abandonment, or I'm not being listened to, and all of these overwhelming things that affect me on a day-to-day basis. And this is where we're bringing it right into the present. So trauma and core wounds that have happened and experienced in the past, it's amazing to step into that awareness of going, actually, this is really stored in my body. Now, when we look at those feelings, when we look at the traumas, when we look at core wounds, they're stored in our body, they're stored in our nervous system. And I feel what's really beautiful is to talk about our nervous system. And that actually, a long time ago, I thought that it was just my nerves, running through my body, when actually your nervous system affects your brain, it affects your spinal cord, it's every single part of you. And I love a really good analogy of looking at it as though it is your electrical system in your home. It lights up everything. It controls your alarm system. It controls everything around your home. So if we've got something that is is damaging that electrical system within us, like within your home. We could have our alarms triggered. We've got a light switch that's not working. We've got different things that are actually affecting us on a day-to-day basis, because there is things that are running deep within our system that we haven't maybe acknowledged, or we're not fully aware of. And maybe you are fully aware of it, but you're really not sure about how to get to the root of it. And pass that back to you, Dr. Harmony.
Yeah, and I think, especially, coming off the retreat, and what I see is one of the number one biggest things that you mentioned with everyone is not wanting to see it, feel it, heal it, don't want to face it, or really what you said was acknowledge it. And the thing about us not wanting to be seen, and that was the big theme, nobody wanted to be seen to that level. We did a group round circle of eye gazing, and where we would do it like the whole group look at one person, and that one person would then go between each person. And it was really hard for people to look at people in the eyes, hard to be seen to that level, right? Mm-hmm. And then we went to, in the group, broke up into individually 2 people just looking at each other. And at the core of that is, we are the ones that don't feel seen or acknowledged, but we are also the ones that shut ourselves off from being seen or acknowledged because of the vulnerability, because of the depths of the soul, because the eyes in that case are the windows of the soul. And so in the core of our soul, it's really hard for people to see us that deep, because there's a piece of that is, what if they see the true me? What if they see the parts of me that I don't like, that I judge, that I have shut off, that I have muzzled and, shut down? So we are the ones that are really, not listening to others or ourselves if it's something that we don't really want to acknowledge. And that's where, on this twin flame journey, so many people, want to point the finger or blame someone outside of themselves, or an experience, even in just everyday life. People that aren't even on the twin flame journey, they want to blame their experiences, their other people. But in all reality, we have done this to ourselves. We've shut our own selves down. We've not looked at our own self. We've not honored ourselves. And for me, the quickest way to heal those wounds, because like you said, we may not need to know every part of the trauma, but if we can acknowledge and trace back where it started, then we can go back to that point, that time in our life, maybe when you're younger as a child and you took on the belief systems of other people, or you judged something and you took on a program. If you go back to then and you can link to what the experience was that caused you to shut yourself off, then you can basically dissolve everything in between, because you can acknowledge what it is that you've not seen as to why you shut yourself down to begin with.
Absolutely. And I feel this is really, really key when we look at this level of trauma. Now, in my personal journey with my childhood, now we feel, and we don't always have the tools, but we don't have the tools to think and process the feelings of how they can damage us at this point, and we can carry them through into adulthood, and then trying to break them down. I mean, recognizing, going back to your childhood, my personal childhood was, I grew up in a very intense, very scary home, which resulted in me going into care. And I was always living on the edge of fear, always living on the edge of not wanting to actually be seen, because if I was seen, it meant big trouble. Yeah, everything was very, very, very intense, to the point where, obviously, I said I ended up in care because of my safety. And we can't process this as children, but what we do is then we internalize it, and we try and suppress it, or we then go into the blame that actually this was my fault. Or you could have grown up in a really beautiful home with beautiful, loving parents, and it could just be other external forces that are that could happen. Maybe, you know, you didn't have the confidence to speak up one day and that made you shut down. Now, don't overlook these experiences as being small. Don't ever play them small, because they're part of what got you here today and what's evolved you to being who you are today. And when we really fully start to acknowledge them, as we touched on, we don't have to go and pinpoint these things. Maybe there are small things, or maybe they're big things, or maybe you're just starting to question, actually, well, maybe this is me, because this is actually something that I run on every day. I run on a level of stress or feelings that actually aren't actually normal, that shouldn't really be there, that we've actually just become to believe that they are normal. Maybe you're in this place where you're starting to shift your perspective. And let me tell you now, this is the start of a beautiful journey of self-discovery. When we look at trauma, when we look at wounds, we can be so overwhelmed with how painful they can be that we choose to shut down. We choose to not want to look at them. But actually, when we fully open to recognizing the journey of what we gain from really going into the self-reflection, really going into understanding the forgiveness and not blaming everything around you, and pulling yourself out, as quite often I do with people, that third eye, bird's eye perspective, which is what I call it. And we start to look at it as you're not in that experience. You're starting to view it. And how can you view this?
Of it.
You become the observer of it. And then you can really start to create a detachment. And when you start detaching from it, we can really start discerning how we can then process those emotions. I know this sounds quite deep, but this is the start of it. Yeah.
Yeah. And one of the things about wounds and emotions, that, you know, and you mentioned the nervous system and everything leads up, you know, as far as our electrical system really in our body, that's a connection to the electromagnetic body that is our soul blueprint, right? Our starlight Merkaba, our light body. That is how we feel so many things around us, through that empath feeling of feeling everything from the outside coming in. And when you are an empath, which we all are, because we tend to feel more, we connect to more, we observe more, we intake more information, that external information tends to stimulate our internal hardwire, internal nervous system, electrical system, energetic system, based on our wounds, and it becomes triggers. And so I've used the analogy, I may have used it on here before, where it's like we're being chased by a tiger. And it's that fight or flight syndrome where our nervous system goes into that fight or flight, which is literally like a hyper stimulated sensory system that learns how to program itself that way. And so when the tiger stops chasing you, or the stimulus goes away, your body, your mind, your processes are still running as if the tiger is chasing you, literally. So that's how like our somatovisceral responses come from, just even the idea of like, think about, I use this analogy too. What if you're driving down the road, you look into the mirror and all of a sudden you see red lights and your heart starts racing, right? The thought and the fear of, oh my gosh, I'm about to get pulled over and I'm going to get a ticket, even if it's just an ambulance coming up from somewhere and it just startles you. And the memory template of like what could happen to you, those thoughts of getting a ticket is causing your heart to race, right? So these responses are constantly running in us, even when we don't know consciously what is happening. And so over time, it creates interference, like on a record, if a record gets scratched. So when you're listening to a record and you get the interference, listening to the sound of that scratch, that is like a scratch literally in the synapses of our nervous system function. And one of the things about the healing process of that, it's like calming the nerves, soothing the nerves, coming into a place of stillness in the chaos. So when we are like this, we tend to like run from chaos, run from stimulation. What is going to be so important when you know you've healed your wounds, even in being triggered on this twin flame journey, is when you can be triggered and you no longer have a response that makes you want to run.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like you've really hit the nail on the head there.
We've got a lot of static going on there for 1 second. I think it might be better now. Go ahead and speak now.
Hello. Is that better?
Yeah.
No. Okay, hold on. Sorry, carry on, Dr. Harmony. I'll sort my audio out.
Here, go ahead. And if you could, I was going to say, yeah, if you could silent there, it might be better now. But so anyway, today, if you're just joining us, we are on another episode of Rise with Reis, and today's topic is all about, is your past causing and affecting you today to, these hidden scars? Are they blocking you from being your true self? Are they blocking you from going forward in the greatest potential, that version of you that came here to live and play life full out, and to, most importantly, learn how to love and connect to others, not just have to be, suppress yourself and go hide where you can't be in connection and communication with others? Because there's this saying, I can't remember the exact saying, but it's like, we want love and we want embraced, but on the flip side of that, we can't receive it because of the fact that we have to suppress, to back away from, what's coming to us. And I can't remember, it was a really good quote about that, but I wish I could remember the words, but it's not coming to me right now. But if you are just joining us, make sure to check out some of the resources we have for you with the Perfect Inner Challenge, where it's about accepting yourself where you are, and you're not necessarily putting yourself in a position to think you have to do more work to experience love and acceptance, because, as we've said, that comes from you. But check those things out. And then the Facebook group we have, where Reis is in there every week doing lots of content to help bring information for you, to help you learn how to create more of a connection with yourself in such a way that you begin to love and accept yourself, and open up to being able to receive information without the need to shut down. So what I call a lot of this is creative avoidance, even if it's unconscious, when we don't want to face these consequences that, we're faced with. We want to run from them. But something will really help if you can really open up and just say yes to confront whatever it is. Now, what I did in that aspect, whenever I really went deep in the last year and a half to face my own inner chaos, is every time I would feel that sense of hyperstimulation, I would pause in it. I wouldn't run from it. I would literally go into that space and feel it. And then when I would feel it, that would allow me to stop rejecting all of the chaos, and it started to dissolve over time. And I could pay attention to, what does my body need? What does my mind need? What does my heart need? And I've learned to move into and open up a part of what I call the genius mind through getting into the alpha wave brain waves, which is basically being in a state of bliss, in your state of awareness, in your consciousness, being in an awake state. And in that place, when I feel something out of alignment in my body, or pain or tension or chaos, or a sense of even an emotion, because all of this is stemmed, what we're talking about is stemmed from emotions that have been suppressed and shut down. And until we can, reclaim those aspects of ourselves, we're not coming into the fullness of who we are and our ability to feel the level of love and joy and fulfillment, because there's a part of us shutting down. But from that place of getting into the alpha brain and that genius mind, and feeling into, like leaning into the tension, the pain, the wound, the emotion, the trauma, the experience, the lessons. It's allowed me to see myself, feel myself, ask myself, where is this coming from? And then integrating with that piece of me, becoming one with that piece of me. And the minute you stop rejecting it and you accept that area, down to, I was saying, I could feel into a piece of my body and I can breathe and I can just take and allow my body to go into a relaxed state. And then it stops fighting itself and allows channels and energy and meridians to open up and feel much more relaxed, much more connected, much more whole, and much more authentic, because that is honoring the part of you that you don't want to be seen. You don't want to feel. You don't want to be heard. So let's see if your mic's working better now, if you want to add into that.
How does that sound? Is that better?
No.
No. Okay. One sec.
Okay. While you're doing that, one of the things, a little exercise I thought would be really good for everyone, is if everyone on here could take a moment just to pause and connect to your heart and connect to your gut. And now I got echo from you. Okay, she'll be back. She have a little bit of technical difficulty with her mic. But if you could write down 3 experiences that come up through you that maybe you have went through that has caused you to feel uncomfortable within, a sense of like wanting to run from yourself. But when I say experience that, do it from a place of feeling yourself in these experiences, honoring these experiences, and then let those experiences speak to those experiences. Ask them, where did you come from? Why are you here? What do you want me to know? What am I to learn from this? What is it that I've shut off? What is it I haven't heard? And when you connect to your intuition, your gut, and you begin to listen to what the information is, you will become more completed and integrated with who you are in all aspects. So just take a moment just to close your eyes. We did this like a week or two ago where it was just like, who am I? You know, and Reis, is your mic working better now?
How does that sound, Dr. Harmony?
It's better, yes. Okay, so I'm going to use you as an example again, since you can give us feedback, okay? And you kind of popped out. What I was asking everyone to do was just to connect to, and I told them 3 experiences, but we're going to do one as an example, okay? And I want you to just really feel into your heart, and most importantly, feel into your intuition, into your gut, into your stomach. And from a place of allowing, without controlling from the mind and trying to dig up what you need to know, we're going to ask your higher self to reveal to you what it is that will give you more awareness to sink deeper into yourself, and asking your unconscious to reveal what it is that you need to know about a specific experience that has blocked you from moving forward in your life in a place of living it full out. And when I say full out, I'm feeling this sense of without fear. So with that being said, the fear, what has caused you fear most recently? And where did that come from? And then you just feel into that and then share what kind of comes to you.
Okay. Fear of loss and fear of abandonment. And this has been something that has echoed throughout my life. And what I've been asked to be shown is how much deeper can we go into this? And I'm being shown many different lives, going right back to when we lost our disconnection from our God consciousness. that this has come through and echoed through into this lifetime, and I've carried it through with me many lifetimes. So it's not just my childhood that triggered all of this, that created all of this. This runs so much more deeper. But actually being in this awareness and trusting in the process of
I just have
what
to tell
comes
you
in.
something's coming through because it's so powerful. I have to say this, and it's so powerful. I'm like getting really teary-eyed. I'm sensing this little girl that wanted her father, and her father would never stop, hug, be with her, be there for her, and all she wanted was hugged and loved.
My father's actually facing quite a serious heart condition at the moment, and I didn't have him around as a child. I didn't start having a relationship with him until I got older. So yes, there was a lot of abandonment from both sides, both the divine feminine and the divine masculine. And all of this is coming up now, the healing that I'm going through and experiencing, because the fear of losing now this relationship that is becomes so precious to me. And it's funny how it's all around the heart center, around his heart.
Another thing I'm picking up is seeing this is how we do things and connect things and take things on for people. Now you're carrying some of that weight of his, and you're connecting, your heart is connecting to his heart of having been closed off his whole life, and you're being asked to open up, and that fear of loss is causing you to separate internally from it, and the fear of losing again.
Yes, yeah. And this is something that I can feel it right down to my core. It runs so deep. And, I can feel the heart energy really starting to expand around me right now, as I now am in that awareness and I go into a place of surrender. This is very powerful stuff.
So it's time to let that go so you can open up.
Fully.
So share with us what's coming through you and how are you letting this go? And just so everyone knows, this is live. We didn't plan this, but we're literally demonstrating how you can have something suppressed in you that needs to come out. And if you're experiencing this through your own journey right now with the little exercise we gave you, feel free to share it with us. Go ahead.
It's understanding the trust that's now coming in, that's now I'm allowing to enter into my heart. Before, especially growing up as a child, there was no trust there. I had no trust in anyone. I was always in fear. And now it's like being open to feeling safe, knowing the process, trusting the process, recognizing the journey that we're on in order to create freedom within this space. And I feel that this word is really amplified for freedom right here, right now. It's freedom. Freedom from my heart feeling so restricted. And also within his heart's been so restricted, and his heart isn't actually functioning properly. It's not in rhythm. So it's about understanding how to get that back into rhythm, how to let that go. So he's already had one failed procedure. So it's now the next step where we're going into another one. And it's allowing the process to come in, finding that rhythm, finding the freedom, understanding it's already there.
And where would you say this has been, like obviously this is the pattern that's led all the way up into, your ability to trust your journey, yourself, your twin flame. Where in this moment have you not been trusting?
The process where I haven't been trusting is when I'm going right down to the core of it, because I have stepped into the biggest aspect of trust within my life, and that's letting go of everything that I've ever held on to step into a whole new way, because this is what I've been divinely guided to do. Now, to me, I've been putting action and faith into this area of trust, but actually those needs not being fully met in the presence is where I'm going, well, hold on a minute, this is This is challenging that aspect. This is challenging what I'm here showing up doing and proving and living right now with my purpose. Where is this backing up? And it's throwing that question back out there. And this is where, when I go and I peel those layers back, where the core root of that aspect is. Wow.
And so then give me just a second, because I feel something coming through to ask you or share with you. And what is coming through just to ask and say is, where are you meeting these needs for yourself?
I'm allowing love to come in, to be received, acknowledging the support and the help when it is given. When before I would say no, when I was in a lower state of consciousness. And it's recognizing how I've shifted and expanded into a place where I've changed my actions, my thoughts, my approach to something that has been a conditioning of me, that has kept me in suppression. It's being fully open to recognizing when I need that help, I can ask for it. When I feel I'm breaking, it's okay to say I'm not okay, where before I couldn't do this. So recognizing this more and more, and I'm being shown this right now by my higher self, by my higher guides. This is, the more I amplify on this, the more I am in this awareness of this right here in the present every day, the more that my heart center will open, the more that this will amplify the healing and the growth, and this will create the shift that needs to happen right now.
Yeah, because you are then showing up for yourself in every given moment.
Absolutely.
You're not waiting for someone else to do that. And therefore, there is no loss, because you are already it. You are already loved. I had this conversation earlier today that I feel closer to my dad than when he was in his 3D world in life. And the interesting thing came up to me today that I said in my own awareness was, the first time I ever stood up for myself and voiced myself with my father was the first time I came to Sedona, and how this memory of us going on this excursion of a Unity church for a sound music festival thing, and everybody circled up to talk about their beliefs of past lives and their experiences, and I was on edge, thinking my father was going to tell them all that they were wrong and that his beliefs were right about this, past lives and belief systems. And he didn't do it for the first time ever in my life. And then later that night, he went into a complete breakdown, had hives all over him, had to go to a store to get Benadryl. And then the next day, he began to tell me that God was punishing him for not speaking up. And that's why he had his little episode. Part of that was, I didn't say this part about what the episode was. The episode was, he had an inhaler and he would go into these not being able to breathe attacks. And so he needed his inhaler, and the inhaler, he couldn't get it out of his pocket. And then when he got it out of his pocket, it literally broke into 3 parts. And now he literally can't get his breath, and he's turning red and purple. And we're in the middle of this event with lights off, and they've turned on lights. And now we have every healer there circled around him. And he finally gets his breath back. And this was the kind of thing I experienced my whole life. He was a very loving father and very loving parents. But his rejection of my own beliefs was rejecting me. But what I discovered was, my rejection of his beliefs was my rejecting me. Because he couldn't see me, but because I didn't allow that part of me to shine and dimmed it and shut it down because I wasn't accepted in it, I didn't accept me. So I lived a state of suppression that never felt like my voice mattered. And so in that process, though, the interesting thing is, for anybody that just hasn't know yet, moved to Sedona last week, and here I am bringing so many things in my whole life full circle. And, just, you're talking about your father and what's going on. And obviously your connection might be different and everybody's is different. But now that my father is transitioned, I don't feel a separation from him because I feel him in a way I never felt him in my life.
So powerful.
Yeah. Whew. That was some deep work, right?
I was going to say that is some deep work.
Beautiful work, we should say, and we don't
Thank
even really
you.
call that work. That's healing. And healing doesn't have to be work. And we don't have to dig for things, but we can allow things, right? And that's what helps bring us, in acceptance of what is, rather than rejecting or steering away from it. So we want to thank everyone joining us here today. And in case you have just joined us, we're talking about how your hidden scars may be blocking you from connecting to love, the love you really desire in a relationship, your twin flame journey, and life, in your livelihood, whatever it is, it could be blocking you. So we want to acknowledge some of you today that have made comments. And if you have any questions, feel free to let us know. But we are here every Sunday with the Rise with Reis, which is helping you to elevate your true self so that you can attract your highest match, your twin flame. And so Heidi has sent a message here, just acknowledging. Heidi, thanks for being so committed to us and me, the whole journey. You've followed me for many, many, many years. And I just want to acknowledge you and thank you. Let's see. Thank you for this very important subject about traumas. And you're so right about how they can affect the entire personal system. You've been processing this very much lately. Thank you, Heidi. Thank you. And let's see. She kind of went on to finish. You're both explaining this so well. Thank you for that feedback, Heidi. Thank you. And it looks like you're going to have another one here in a minute, but I'll let you take this one, Reis, with Jeremiah.
Okay. When we shut ourselves down, we remove ourselves from the emotions and the feelings. We feel comfort in not facing it. And in some cases, we can't even remember when it occurred because we'd rather hide from the experience and forget it. But it becomes so important for us to embrace and acknowledge this feeling rather than abandon ourselves and abandon our true emotions by hiding from who we are.
Yes.
Yeah.
That is so, so true. That's it. The abandonment comes from us abandoning ourselves. And part of the abandoning ourselves is abandoning these emotions and not letting ourselves feel the emotions that come through. And that's another thing I'll say on the retreat that we had just done. When the emotions would come up, the tears would want to flow. Not everyone wanted to feel that. Some people wanted to shut down, and we had to take them deeper and deeper and deeper into connecting and showing them that it was safe to feel, that it was safe in a cocoon environment, and that there was no judgment here. But at the end of the day, it really comes down to judging ourselves. Okay, approaching this so important, sensitive topic. Thank you, Mar. Thank you very much for joining us. And let's see, Heidi had another aha. Thank you, Reis and Harmony. I can relate so much to your traumas, like the constant need to feel safe, fears of loss, and being vulnerable and wholly trust the human soul. Yes, very, very,
I feel
very.
this is what we're doing. We're here right now, be it showing our vulnerability and sharing in this with everyone.
Because if you
so powerful.
If you had just joined us, and you're talking about the vulnerability, And we just connected, and I think you even said it when we went live about, I was glowing and, had the retreat and how it must have done me well. And I had just made this comment, and authenticity and vulnerability is too, that I'm not a napper, and I usually am on the go, but I've been on the go a whole lot. We just came off the retreat yesterday and got up and went to the farmer's market today, and having such a wonderful time here in Sedona, meeting lots of great people. Speaking of which, I have to tell you this. I don't even have the website done, like I mentioned last time, for all this stuff. And the day before the retreat, get a phone call from someone visiting from out of another state here in Sedona, wanting to do work and healing for a grandmother, the mother, and the son. And it was 3 generations of healing that I went through, working to heal energetically, emotionally, mentally. And it was so beautiful to literally watch this 3 generations come in a physical form and do healing with this family. It was so beautiful, so beautiful. And it was unexpected. It came out of nowhere. So I was very grateful for that I got to literally witness people coming forth in the physical 3D, asking for these kinds of services and help, when, I'm basically moved to Sedona to bring more of my gifts into the physical reality and physical dimension, and work with people one-on-one and in the vortexes, which is what we did for the retreat and for this family. And so where I was going with that, though, is that I melted. I got sucked in a vortex this afternoon, and I had to peel myself up off the couch to get on the show. so like, that's where like the vulnerability, and I'm just, as always, I'm just sharing this because I feel like my walk is showing people what it's like to be authentic, and I'm an open book. So I'm just sharing that because I want
You're
people
being real.
Exactly, and give you permission to do the same, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So we send everyone so much love. We'll be back next Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on another episode of Rise with Reis. Don't forget to check out the resources we have for you in the links above or below, and get plugged into that Facebook group, and you will learn much more about some deeper things that Reis has to offer, including her free clarity call that you can catch the link in below. So much love, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, night, or evening, and we'll see you next week. Loads of love.